revealed. How a pregnant maid overcame a shocking slap from a billionaire's wife to inspire 100. Maria woke up to the sound of birds chirping, the faintest hint of dawn breaking through. She slipped into her worn uniform, the fabric rough against her skin. But it was a necessary armor for the battleground of expectation she faced each day. As she walked down the streets of her affluent suburban town, lined with manicured lawns and luxury cars, a desire bubbled within her. She dreamed of a brighter future for her unborn child, a hope more radiant than the sparkling dewdrops on the grass. Every scrubbed floor and every tidied corner was her investment in a life filled with possibility. Her job as a maid for the stately Whitman family was demanding. Yet, she embraced it with an unyielding spirit, buoyed by the love and encouragement of her tight-knit community. Neighbors waved as she passed, and her fellow workers shared stories of resilience over coffee breaks. They inspired her, and she held their words like treasures, each one a reminder that she was part of something larger, an intricate weave of determination and dreams. But one evening, those dreams were stomped on at a charity gala hosted by the Whitmans in their expansive mansion. The room was drenched in sparkling chandeliers and laughter that echoed like a melody from above. Maria felt out of place but held on to the hope that mingling with the affluent could be her moment, a chance to show who she truly was. Her heart raced, anticipation and nerves swirling within her. Then came the unthinkable. Victoria, the billionaire's wife, in a moment of frustration, struck Maria across her cheek. The sound resonated through the room, silencing laughter and drowning Maria in a tide of humiliation. The eyes of the guests lingered, piercing and judgmental, leaving her exposed. In that moment, her heart ached not just for the slap, but for the shattering of dreams she held so tightly. Tears stung her eyes, and she felt empathy trickle in from friends outside, their support echoing in her mind. Maria fled outside, the cool evening air hitting her like a wave of relief. And in the darkness, something beautiful happened. Her friends gathered around her, embrace warming her like a comforting blanket. They shared their own stories of facing humiliation, of pushing through the hurt. Each tale lit a spark in her, igniting a fire within to rise above the pain. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Fueled by their encouragement, Maria began planning a community initiative, aiming to support those who faced inequality and injustice. Words and letters of support flooded in, empowering her. Rather than confront Victoria with anger, she chose vulnerability as she stood before the woman who had struck her. Her heart pounded loudly, every beat echoing her decision. She sensed an opportunity not just to reclaim her dignity, but to bridge the chasm that separated their worlds. Just as she prepared to speak, a fragile silence enveloped them, pregnant with possibility. In that pivotal moment, Maria realized she had a choice: to seek forgiveness or to declare her strength. With the weight of her past urging her forward, she took a breath, ready to change the narrative forever. What would happen next? Their confrontation or a newfound connection remained a lingering question, leaving both her and the readers on the edge of discovery. Maria's breath caught in her throat as she locked eyes with Victoria, the tension between them palpable. There was something almost electric in the air, a chance for transformation resting on this delicate exchange. Would she break down and ask for mercy? Or would she reclaim her power in a way no one had ever expected? "Why did you do that?" Maria asked, her voice a whisper, trembling yet brave. Those words seemed to linger in the space between them, echoing like a challenge. Victoria's gaze flickered, momentarily lost in the chaos of her own emotions: anger, guilt, and something that resembled fear. The murmurs of partygoers spilled out behind closed doors, an audience to their confrontation. Maria could feel their scrutiny, but the more it pressed in, the more resolved she became. She would not bow to shame. She would stand for herself. You don't understand," Victoria finally stammered, her facade cracking. "I thought you were an intruder. This whole night. It's so much pressure." Maria felt a surge of compassion. Pressure? She knew it well. The weight of expectation clawed at her daily, a constant reminder of her responsibilities not just to herself but to her baby soon to arrive. "I may be a maid, but I'm also a human being," she replied, a quiet strength growing in her voice. "You didn't have to treat me that way." For a moment, the air held its breath. Maria wasn't just confronting the woman who had humiliated her. She was pushing against a wall erected by privilege and power. The guests, still gathered in the shadows, leaned in, intrigued by this unfolding drama. "What do you want me to do?" Victoria asked, her tone shifting, vulnerability seeping in. I made a mistake." Maria sensed the door was cracked open. "You could start by acknowledging that everyone deserves respect, regardless of their social standing. Maybe even help those who struggle the way you helped build this mansion." Victoria shifted, the weight of Maria's words crushing down upon her. The roles were starting to shift, and for the first time, Maria felt seen, truly seen. It was liberating and terrifying all at once. "What if I want to help?" Victoria's eyes glimmered with a new, unexpected resolve. Maria's heart raced. A flicker of hope ignited within her. "Then let us create something together," she proposed, her voice steady. "Let us give a voice to the unheard. Let us show others that we can bridge this divide." Then silence fell as the newly transformed energy ignited among the onlookers. They could sense that something special was happening, that this was a moment of connection, a story about to unfold. Maria could hardly believe her own bravery. She felt empowered, a light shining inside her, promising a future not just for herself, but for many who had faced similar struggles. But before she could bask in her newfound strength, Victoria spoke again, uncertainty lingering in her voice. "If I help, even just my name can attract attention. Are you sure this is what you want? And if I say yes, are you ready to stand with me?" Maria's challenge hung in the air, an invitation filled with potential. Victoria hesitated, the silence stretching between them. A choice loomed, a pivotal moment that could reshape their lives forever. What would she decide? Would she embrace this unexpected partnership, or would fear turn her back? Their eyes locked, tension simmering, hearts racing. As the world around them stood still, the future was uncertain and full of promise, but also fraught with challenges that neither could yet see. Would they break the mold of their separate worlds? Would they dare to imagine a new reality together? Each passing second felt charged with possibility, leaving both Maria and Victoria wondering, could this be the first step towards a future where their stories intertwined? Or would this moment fade into silence? Maria stood before Victoria, the air around them thick with possibility, yet the weight of uncertainty pressed heavily on her chest. She could see the flicker of something new in Victoria's eyes, a glimmer of self-awareness battling against years of privilege and entitlement. The guests around them had fallen silent, caught in the gravity of this made-for-drama moment. It felt surreal, almost as if time itself had paused to witness this exchange. Two women standing at the precipice of change. "Do you want to make a real difference?" Maria pressed, her heartbeat echoing in her ears. "Because it starts with being honest. With yourself. With others like us." She gestured subtly around the room, indicating a world that often turned a blind eye to struggles just out of sight. Victoria swallowed hard, pulling in a shaky breath. "You're right. I've never really thought about what my actions mean for others," she admitted, vulnerability coloring her cheeks. I always thought I was just surviving in this world." Maria's courage in this moment surged anew. "Being privileged doesn't mean you're exempt from feeling pressure or fear," she said softly. "But you can use that privilege to lift others up too, to create change. This could be your chance to step into something meaningful." The weight of responsibility shifted between them, palpable and urgent. The cocktail of her emotions swirled in the air, fear of failing, desire to connect, and excitement at a newfound ally at her side. "Together?" Victoria asked, the vulnerability in her voice layered with tentative hope. "Yes." "Together," Maria confirmed, her heart swelling at the thought. We can show that it's about what we can build, not just what we have. Those words fell like ripe fruit, ready to be harvested. The gasps of the onlookers once again filled the space, their whispers mingling with excitement and disbelief. Clearly, this confrontation had taken an unexpected turn, one that promised to turn the tide of their fates. But how? Victoria's brow furrowed, grappling with the enormity of the task. Where do we even start? Maria took a step closer, her determination unwavering. Start with your voice. Use it to highlight the stories of those like me who feel invisible. Let them be heard. In that moment, Maria felt a shift, not just within Victoria, but within herself. It was liberating to let go of the pressure to be perfect. It felt good to know that there was a future she could help mold, one built on mutual respect and connection instead of division. Victoria looked around the room, her shoulders straightening as she drew from the growing energy. If I can do this, then I want to just make a difference for you. I think it could create a ripple effect for so many others, she said. A light kindling in her eyes, Maria beamed. But the weight of the world's scrutiny crashed down once more. Would they be able to turn this moment into lasting change? Would they be able to translate their courage into action? The path ahead loomed uncertain and fraught with challenges. But one thing was clear. They had taken that first, decisive step forward. The tension between them had shifted into something powerful: hope. But just as Maria felt the exhilaration of their newfound alliance, a voice broke through the air, cutting through the electric atmosphere. And what makes you think anyone will listen to you? A familiar sneer echoed, sending ice through Maria's veins. The moment of clarity and hope teetered on the edge of chaos once more. What new hurdles awaited them? Would they find a way to overcome the corruption of the world surrounding them, or would old fears threaten to break their bond? Maria's heart raced, and the air grew heavy with tucked-away whispers that rippled through the crowd. She could feel every pair of eyes darting between her and Victoria, anticipating the fallout. Who said that? Maria's voice was steadier than she felt, and she scanned the crowd until her gaze landed on a woman standing by the bar. Her arms crossed and eyes narrowed, an expression of disbelief plastered across her face. Who else would? The woman scoffed, her voice dripping with contempt. You think just because you have a little moment of honesty that people will care? You'll always be just that girl, Maria. Invisible. Behind her, the crowd seemed to swell, a wave of unspoken opinions swirling at the edge of their whispers. Maria took a step forward, her pulse pounding in her ears. I am not invisible, and neither are the stories of those who struggle every day, she said. Her voice rising above the murmurs. Victoria moved in beside her, confidence shining through her earlier uncertainty. This isn't about us, she declared, her eyes glaring at the woman. It's about the countless others who never get a voice. We can be that change. The tension hung thick, and for a moment, disbelief filled the space. Then the woman laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. You really think you can change anything? What's your plan? People in this world will ignore you just like they always have. You'll just fade back to where you belong. Gasps erupted from the crowd, and Maria felt a spark of anger ignite inside her. They were determined to box her in, to define her by the limits they placed on her. But she refused to stay quiet. She would not let their disdain extinguish the hope she had found with Victoria. People have ignored me for too long. Maria took a deep breath. And your words don't scare me anymore. I'm tired of shrinking to fit their expectations. We all deserve to be heard. The crowd shifted slightly, taken aback at her resilience. Maria could sense the flicker of sympathy from some and the tightening of faces from those who had joined in the derogatory laughter. Victoria stepped closer to Maria, gripping her arm lightly. What if we did something bold? Show them the stories they don't want to hear, gather people together. Make them listen to us. Yes. Another voice piped up from the crowd, a man throwing his arms up excitedly. We need that. We need to make our voices heard. The energy in the room shifted. Instead of feeling vulnerable under the pressure of judgment, Maria felt alive. The crowd was no longer just spectators. They were becoming participants in something bigger. We can hold discussions, Maria continued, catching fire to the inspiration igniting around them. We need workshops, we need to share our stories to build empathy. The change starts now and it starts with us. Quiet murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd, and Maria's heart soared. The woman who had challenged her glanced around, her expression faltering. Perhaps she hadn't expected such a reaction. Still, the whispers of doubt lingered. Would this new momentum hold? Would they be able to truly enact change? Or was it merely a fleeting moment of passion? You know what? Victoria responded, confidence seeping back into her voice. If we can rally even a few people to listen, we can plant a seed. And seeds grow. Maria glanced at Victoria, feeling the warmth of her support. They stood together, ready to first take on their small world, a microcosm that could become a beacon for hope. But cracking beneath the surface of their excitement, Maria couldn't shake a feeling of trepidation. Would their voices be enough to combat the deep-seated issues that lay beneath the surface? Just as she was about to speak again, a sudden flicker of movement caught her eye. A familiar figure stepped towards them, his face shadowed but resolute. An advisor she thought had been lost to the past. What would he say? Would he offer support or pull them back into doubt? Maria held her breath, the weight of unfolding possibilities heavy in the air, uncertain of their next step. Maria's breath caught in her throat as the figure stepped closer, shedding shadows and revealing the unmistakable face of Andrew. Her heart fluttered with a mix of emotions: relief, fear, and an electrifying spark of hope. The last time she'd seen him, he was just a specter of encouragement, quietly supportive yet distant. Now he was here, right in front of her, and the tension in the room seemed to thrum with possibility. "What are you doing here?" Victoria whispered, barely masking her surprise. Andrew's eyes scanned the crowd, then returned to Maria. "I heard the commotion. I had to come," he said, his voice steady but laced with urgency. "You're taking a huge risk, Maria. But maybe that's exactly what's needed." "Risk?" The woman at the bar scoffed again. "You think they care what you have to say? This is a waste of time." Andrew shook his head, stepping between Maria and her detractor, his presence igniting a flicker of courage within her. "You're wrong," he replied firmly. "People don't know they need to listen until someone shows them why. You just did that." Maria felt a surge of warmth. Andrew believed in her, and somehow that made her feel a notch taller. "I'm scared," she admitted, her voice small even amidst the chaos. "What if this doesn't work?" Andrew gave a reassuring smile. "Change doesn't happen overnight. But every story shared, every voice raised, adds another brushstroke to the picture. It matters." The crowd's curiosity shifted to a collective gaze on him, and he seemed to thrive under the pressure. "You all felt something, didn't you? That stirring anger? That yearning for change? Let us not just stand here in this bar looking at each other. Let us get to work." The energy in the room was tangible now, as if the very air crackled with renewed purpose. Maria took a step forward, emboldened by Andrew's presence. "We can meet regularly, share our stories, create connections. We can form a community." A murmur of enthusiasm rippled through the crowd. She was no longer just Maria, the invisible girl, but a leader, inching her way toward something much bigger. "What's the first step?" A voice quivered from the back, and she turned to see a young woman with wide, hopeful eyes. Meeting the girl's gaze, Maria felt a rush of inspiration. "Let us plan our first gathering. Pick a date, a place, anything. We need to let others join us." Victoria jumped in, excitement bubbling. "I can help with the social media. Get the word out." A man near the bar raised his hand, eager to contribute. "I can provide space for meetings. It's small, but it's welcoming." The tension seemed to dissolve, each new suggestion weaving threads of urgency and hope through the air. But just as Maria felt a wave of momentum crash over her, doubt pierced her heart again. What if they showed up and no one cared? Suddenly, the woman with crossed arms opened her mouth to retort, but Maria met her eyes directly. "What if you turned from a hater into a supporter? What if we could show you that change is real? You have your own stories, too." A moment of silence hung thick. The challenge echoed in the crowd, and slowly, Almost reluctantly, the woman softened, confusion replacing her hostility. Spurred by the unexpected shift, Maria pressed on, her voice ringing with clarity. We need to face this together, and that starts now. Let us not just talk. Let us act. Suddenly, Andrew stepped toward her, placing a firm hand on her shoulder. And I'll be here every step of the way. Cheers erupted, and Maria felt lighter, buoyed by the collective determination. But deep inside, a whisper of anxiety clung onto her. Would they truly follow through? Was she ready for the journey ahead? Just as she welcomed the weight of their support, another flicker at the doorway caught her eye. A figure lingered, watching intently from the shadows, face barely visible. Who were they? Would they help, or complicate everything? Maria felt her heart flutter with both excitement and dread, knowing the next step could lead to everything she hoped for or everything she feared. Maria's gaze remained fixed on the shadowy figure at the door. The tension was palpable, an anchor weighing down the thrumming energy in the room. Who were they? Why were they watching? Andrew noticed her stare and gently squeezed her shoulder, bringing her focus back to the gathering crowd. You've got this, Maria, he whispered, and hope ignited inside her. Let us set a date, Victoria exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. She pulled out her phone, ready to dive into planning. How about we meet next Saturday? I can post on all platforms today. Yes, Maria replied, her voice gaining strength. We'll start getting the word out. I can make flyers too. The momentum was growing, and for a fleeting moment, her worries faded into the background. They were building something together. Someone shouted from the back, what should we call ourselves? Maria paused, her mind racing. What about the Unity Collective? We're all in this together, standing for one another, fighting for change. A round of enthusiastic agreement rippled through the bar. Andrew caught her eye again, admiration gleaming in his expression. She felt braver with him beside her. Just then, the figure at the door took a purposeful step forward, finally breaking free from the shadows. Maria's heart raced. What if they were here to disrupt everything? But the figure quickly stepped into the light, revealing an unexpected face. Lila, her childhood friend. Lila's bright eyes sparkled with a mix of mischief and determination. Did someone call for a gathering? Because I have a story that needs telling. Maria's heart leaped in recognition, but doubt clawed at her. Lila, you're back? Just in time. I've been through a lot, and it's high time we talk about it, Lila said, her voice steady but warm. The crowd's energy shifted again, like a fresh breeze sweeping through. There was something electric about Lila's presence, and Maria felt the room lean in, everyone eager to listen. Let us hear it, Lila, Victoria nudged, grabbing her attention. A sense of camaraderie enveloped them all. Lila stepped into the center of the gathering. I returned to this town because I realized I can't stay quiet any longer. Too many people suffer in silence while others live blissfully unaware. I want to share what I've seen and experienced. Her voice trembled as she fixed her eyes on Maria. And you inspired me, Maria. I saw you standing up for every single one of us, and it sparked a fire I thought was long gone. Maria felt a lump form in her throat. Was this really happening? No more hiding. Lila continued, rising in passion. We need to break down barriers. Stand together. This is our moment to reshape everything, one story at a time. The crowd erupted, their voices rising like a wave. Together they were unstoppable. Maria's heart raced with exhilaration. Lila represented everything she had hoped for: a direct connection, shared experiences, and the thrill of pulling others into their cause. But just as victory seemed within their reach, the woman from the bar stood again, surprising everyone. You want to share stories? What if they hurt? What if people just laugh or roll their eyes? A hush fell over the room, the air thick with anticipation. Maria felt the weight of her rebuttal rush to her lips. That's a risk we have to take. Vulnerability has power, real power. If we speak from our hearts, people will listen. The woman looked uncertain, her arms crossing again. But Maria noted a flicker of understanding in her eyes. Every voice matters, she urged. I can't promise it'll be easy, but I can promise it will be worth it." As the others echoed her sentiments, Maria felt an overwhelming wave of hope. Maybe they could change everything together. But Lila's presence reminded her of darker paths they might need to navigate. As she glanced at the doorway, the figure in the shadows was gone, leaving an ominous question in its place. What if they returned? Would they bring trouble? With the gathering buzzing around her, Maria's thoughts began to race. The journey ahead was just beginning, and it would be anything but smooth. But was she ready for whatever might come next? The crowd's cheers enveloped her, but her heart hammered with uncertainty. Would they stand together when the real challenges arose? Maria felt a wave of warmth wash over her as Lila spoke. The tension in the room began to dissolve, replaced with an undeniable connection among the group. It was as if newfound energy had sparked a fire in everyone present. Yet, beneath the excitement, the gnawing doubt remained a shadow lurking just out of sight. Lila paused, taking in the faces before her. "We all face something, haven't we?" she began, her voice softer now, inviting. "And that's what makes us strong. What we share can heal and motivate others." Eager murmurs filled the air, each one a different story waiting to be told. Maria felt that same sense of vulnerability she had felt before, the urge to hide, to protect herself from exposure. But tonight felt different. She had allies, voices like Lila's and Andrew's that wrapped around her like a shield. "Let us make a pact," Lila said suddenly, her eyes lighting up. "Everyone here promises to share a story no matter how painful. If we do this together, we're all safe, right?" A chorus of affirmations erupted among the crowd. Victoria stood, her hands raised in excitement. "Count me in. I have a story that's been weighing on my heart for years." Maria's pulse quickened. She thought of her own experiences and the moments that had shaped her painful but crucial chapters of her life. But would she be brave enough to share them? The woman who had challenged them earlier seemed conflicted. "What if no one wants to hear?" she asked, uncertainty coloring her voice. But Andrew stepped forward, his eyes filled with warmth. "Everyone deserves to be heard. Sometimes, just telling your story is a step toward healing. Can be your truth, and that's powerful." Maria looked at Andrew, feeling a rush of gratitude. He was her anchor. Lila beamed, clearly buoyed by the support. "Exactly. Let us establish a space where we celebrate our truth. Maybe even a blog, a podcast, something to keep our conversation going." Their voices overlapped as each person chimed in with their ideas, excited energy rekindling zeal in the gathering. Maria couldn't help but smile. It felt as if they were bouncing off each other's hopes, creating something alive and electric. Yet, just as they began to organize, a sharp chill swept through the room. The door swung open again. All heads turned as a familiar figure appeared, shattering the moment. Maria's rival from high school, Jessica. "Wow! Look what the cat dragged in," Jessica said, smirking, her tone dripping with disdain. "Gathering a bunch of losers for a pity party? Pathetic." The quick shift in atmosphere left everyone silent, uncertainty hanging like a dense fog. For a moment, Maria felt paralyzed. Jessica's words hit her like a blow. The memories of their past crept in, pushing doubt back to the forefront. But Lila stepped forward, resolute. "We're not here to listen to you. We are building something real. You don't get to define us any longer." Cheers erupted again as the group rallied. Maria felt a surge of empowerment. Maybe they would stand together, no matter the challenges ahead. Yet, as she looked at Jessica's sneering face, the lingering question hung in the air: how would they handle such negativity? Would they rise above it, or would it tear them apart? With courage swelling in her chest, Maria took a deep breath. "This is just the beginning, Jessica. You can't silence us anymore." But as she stood there facing her past, deep down she wondered, would their newfound unity withstand this test? The night was growing darker outside, and with it, the shadows of doubt lingered. Would they continue to embrace their stories, united as one, when faced with real adversity? Maria's heart raced, echoing the disbelief swirling in the room. The electric connection they'd shared moments before now felt fragile in the face of Jessica's mocking presence. Just the sound of Jessica's laughter sent a chill down her spine, reminding Maria of those terrible days in school filled with whispers and pointed fingers. But tonight was different. She had allies and they were ready to stand firm. "Who are you to judge us?" Lila asserted, her voice steady and strong, breaking the tension like a crack of thunder. "We are here to heal, not to tear each other down." Victoria stepped closer to Lila, her expression a mix of defiance and pride. "We're not going to let you poison this space. We're creating something good." Maria felt the fire in their words ignite a spark in her own chest. All of those years feeling trapped, and here they were, suddenly pulling her toward the surface. Would she join them, or let the fear drag her under again? Jessica rolled her eyes, dismissive as ever. "Have fun with your little club of misfits. I'll be out there in the real world." With a toss of her hair, she turned to leave, but a parting jab lingered on her lips. "You'll see how lame this is. You'll come crawling back." Anger bubbled inside of Maria. How could she doubt them? Just that afternoon she had felt seen, felt hope. She had to hold on to that. "We're stronger than you think," Maria said, surprise flooding her voice as the words tumbled out. "We have each other's backs, and we're going to build something that matters. You can't take that away." Jessica paused, half turning back, her expression shifting as doubt danced in her eyes, but she quickly masked it with a scoff. "Good luck with that," she said, strutting away as if she was the one in control. The door creaked closed behind her, but not before Maria caught a glimpse of understanding in the eyes of those left behind. Fear had clenched all their hearts, but courage now beat in its place. Lila clapped her hands together. "All right, let us refocus. Who's ready to share?" For a moment, silence hung heavy in the room, a cautious energy. Victoria stepped forward, her voice trembling yet firm. "I will. I have a story from my childhood that I've kept close all these years. It's never really gone away. I think it's time to let it breathe." The crowd shifted, eyes wide with anticipation. Maria marveled at how quickly they rallied together. She felt a magnetic pull toward those who were bravely opening up. As Victoria began sharing a tale of neglect and solace, Maria hung on every word. The way Victoria spoke, each revelation a piece of her soul revealed, turned the atmosphere electric again. They were transforming pain into strength, and with every shared story, the walls they built began to crumble. When Victoria finished, the room erupted in applause. It wasn't just clapping. It was recognition, understanding, and solidarity. Maria felt tears of pride prickling at her eyes. Next, it was Andrew's turn, his story carrying threads of loss and transformation. Each story spun a web of connection that pulled them closer. Maria felt the warmth seep deeper into her heart. She was part of something real, alive. But as the stories flowed, Maria's internal battle raged. Her own past was still a weight on her shoulders. The gaping silence in her mind echoed, was she really ready to step into this circle? What if her truth was too raw or too heavy? As the night wore on, the energy soared, but Maria hesitated. She watched her friends courageously bare their souls, and yet here she stood, still holding her grief close. They were all rallying for each other with laughter, tears, and fierce support. Could she really add her voice to the symphony? Facing the group, she finally exhaled deeply and said, I think I need to say something too," but just as she prepared to share, the door swung open again, this time welcoming another unexpected visitor. A shadow flickered in the doorway, a figure Maria least expected to see, someone from her past who might change everything. The air shimmered with uncertainty, and Maria's heart raced. Would this presence build up or shatter what they had begun to create? Maria's breath caught in her throat as she turned toward the door. An unexpected figure stood there, silhouetted in the dim light, a face from her past that she never wanted to see again. It was Mia, her childhood best friend, but so much had happened since then. The sparkle in Mia's eyes had been replaced by something darker. "Mia?" Maria said, her voice almost a whisper. "Surprised to see me?" Mia stepped into the room, her hands clenched at her sides. There was tension in her posture, a mixture of defiance and vulnerability. Yeah, you could say that, Maria replied, unsure if she should feel elation or dread. It had been years since their friendship crumbled. Lost in a swirl of jealousy and betrayal, the group around them shifted uncomfortably, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. Lila stepped forward protectively. This is a safe space, Mia. If you're here, we're willing to listen. Mia glanced at Lila, then back to Maria. I didn't come to hurt you. I need to say something. The weight of those words hung in the air. Maria felt her heart race anew, torn between fear and a flicker of hope. Would Mia finally confess the truth about their past? The secrets that lay buried beneath years of hurt? Before Maria could gather her thoughts, Mia continued. I made a massive mistake, Maria. I let stupid things get between us. But I have my own demons now. I need help. Maria exchanged looks with her new friends. They rallied around her, showing their support. But Maria felt the flicker of resentment bubbling to the surface. You hurt me, Mia. You hurt us. The emotional accusation cut through the room like a knife. Yet there was no satisfaction in lashing out. Mia's expression softened, her voice trembling. I know. I left because I couldn't bear the shame. It was easier to walk away than face the truth. But I've been struggling ever since. Maria felt the heat of anger start to subside, replaced by something more complex: empathy. She couldn't deny that beneath the choices Mia had made, there had to be pain that echoed Maria's own. How can we heal if we keep locking each other out? Lila piped up again, her steady presence bridging the gap. Maybe it isn't too late to rebuild something? What are you even doing here? Maria asked, wrestling with her emotions. You're not part of this. Not anymore. I want to be, Mia pleaded. I came back to ask for help and forgiveness. There it was. The question hovered in the air, heavy and unresolved. Could forgiveness really bridge the years of hurt? Maria felt a tremble in her heart, a pull toward giving Mia a chance. But was she strong enough to take that leap? As she stood there, the room filled with a mix of emotional murmurs and curious glances. Would everyone accept Mia with open arms? What about the scars that remained? Feeling dizzy with the whirlwind of emotions, Maria breathed deeply, contemplating her next step. Was she truly ready to forgive? The warmth of camaraderie surrounded her, and as her gaze bounced between her old friend and her new allies, her heart pounded louder. Mia took a shaky breath, her eyes pleading for understanding. I'm here to make things right. Please let me share. I think it might help us all. But just as Maria opened her mouth to respond, the sound of a phone ringing shattered the moment. The tension shifted even more as eyes darted around the room, each person holding their breath, drawn into the uncertainty that had only deepened. Who was calling, and what news might it bring? Especially now when everything felt so precarious. Maria's heart raced again, this time not just from the past but from the impending weight of the future looming just outside. The ringing phone echoed like a siren in the charged atmosphere. Everyone turned their gaze to the table where the sound originated, the moment hanging in the air like a suspended breath. Maria felt her heart race, the uncertainty trickling into every corner of her mind. Who was calling at such a moment? What did it mean for the fragile connections they were building? Lila stepped forward, checking her own phone. It's mine, she said, her voice steady but curious. She glanced at the caller ID, and the light on her face shifted. Was it surprise or concern? It's my mom, she muttered, furrowing her brow. I should probably take this. As she moved away to answer, the room held its breath, anxiety hanging thick as everyone waited. Without Lila's reassuring presence, the atmosphere shifted again. Maria felt the connection with Mia dim slightly, but she pushed forward. We need to face this, she said, locking eyes with Mia, who looked both hopeful and uncertain. Mia, while you have your own pain, we need to ask the hard questions. Can we really rebuild anything? Maria's voice was steady, bolstered by the power of her newfound community. The weight of those words felt heavy, but they were necessary. Mia nodded slowly, her expression softening. I realize I left when things got tough. I thought it would be easier for both of us. But I was scared of losing someone I cared about, scared of facing my own struggles. I thought walking away was the answer. A silence fell over the group, the echoes of truth resonating like a melody. Andrew spoke up, his tone warm yet direct. Mia, it takes courage to admit that, and you're here now facing it. That essay stepped forward. Maria's heart softened. She felt empathy swell within her. Maybe we can work through this together. But it'll take effort from both sides. We all have to be open. Mia's eyes shimmered. I want that. I want to be part of something positive. Just then, Lila returned, her face a mix of emotions. I'll be right back. My mom asked for me to go home. She has been having health issues. The energy shifted once more, but everyone remained supportive. Lila, wait, Maria said quickly. Let us make sure to stay connected. You're part of this. I won't forget, Lila promised, then smiled. Good luck, everyone. With that, she stepped out into the night, leaving the gathering yet again sounding soft with hope. The lingering silence was palpable as Maria turned back to the crowd. We begin by confronting our truths. Every story shared, even the ones we're afraid to tell, it pushes us forward. Andrew chimed in, and every truth brings us closer. We created this space. Let us not let it slip away. Maria glanced over at Mia, who looked apprehensive but hopeful. The others now leaned in, eager for what was coming next. She stepped forward, feeling the warmth of their presence fortify her. I'm ready to share. I've long kept my story close, she declared, her voice gaining momentum. When I was young, I believed I had to hide my fears, to pretend everything was easy. That burden grew heavier until there was nothing left but the desire for connection. Each word sparked energy in the room, eyes widening, encouraging her onward. It's painful to confront vulnerability, but this collective is reminding me that we're stronger together. As she shared, her voice trembled but held a newfound strength. Each heartfelt thought crafted a tapestry of connection among them, uniting their pasts and reflecting a brighter future ahead. When Maria finished, applause erupted once more. But this time, the cheers came with tears of understanding, solidarity, and finally, healing. Maria felt whole. This was about mutual strength, about becoming a family led by their truths. She noticed Mia's gaze filled with tears too, as a bit of realization sparked within her. I want to share something as well, Mia said, her voice trembling but dignified. No one ever told me that my story mattered. But here, with all of you, I finally understand that it does. As Mia spoke, Maria felt the walls around her heart crumble further. The stories flowed forth, cascading and intertwining, creating ties between them. They weren't alone anymore. They were together. The night grew deeper around them, but it didn't matter. Hope flickered and danced in the air, a shared fire, as they took their first steps toward transformation. Together, this is just the beginning, Maria affirmed, her heart swelling with gratitude. Hope surged stronger than doubt, wrapped in a collective promise to rise above. In this defining moment, as they looked at each other with commitment, the journey to change began. They would face challenges as a community and rally, one voice joining another in a powerful chorus of resilience, healing, and togetherness. And now, my friends, this is your moment. You need to subscribe now to the channel and not miss out on the next exclusive stories that are waiting for you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support, because it makes all the difference. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. What did it mean to you? And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your actions matter. Let us keep this movement alive.